You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian,
and
Keith Cheatham.
And joining us again for another time. Oh my gosh, Aaron Boyd is back.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I didn't let you say your own name.
Boyd.
It's okay.
Aaron
Boyd.
Boyd in the
She's
house.
back.
Boyd. It's not as much fun as Ralph.
And I got a
Ralph.
You do have a
moon
shirt.
shirt.
Yeah, we generally like our hosts to wear shirts. We don't go shirtless here, Aaron.
Well, I don't
I'm
know.
glad-
If
I'm
it's
glad
hot
you have a
enough
shirt.
in here.
It is
I
hot
mean, it
enough.
has been
It's
hot
hot enough.
the
If
last
you want to
couple
take your
weeks,
shirt off,
so-
you may.
Wow, I never allowed that.
No.
I don't know. I don't know if her husband would be comfortable.
Well, I mean,
with that.
we've taken our pants off before.
That's true. We had.
Well,
broad
I'm
pants
still
this-
okay with that.
Yeah.
Nobody sees that on
Alright.
Also,
Moving
Aaron, if you want to take your
on.
pants off, you can do that instead.
Welcome to the Red Moon Podcast.
Oh, she's already deviating.
She's
you know,
like,
I've got to
"It's
deviate
time
real
to change
quick.
something." Deviate.
Real quick. This is a very special shout out.
Uh-oh.
We have a special viewer watching out
Yes.
there.
Special.
And I wanted to give a very happy 6th birthday to Marley Berger.
Happy birthday
Ooh.
to ya. Happy birthday to ya.
Wow, that was
Wow.
beautiful. I
Yeah,
wasn't
I
expecting
didn't
that
get
at all.
on my birthday, so
Wow.
No one
because-
loves you.
I wasn't here on your birthday, so.
could have sent me a Snapchat.
You were
You know how well
absent.
that works.
Okay. Oh, but we do have, so very happy birthday to you, Marley, out there. I hope you're watching. I hope you're enjoying this
birthday.
episode. Gonna try to keep it a little G-rated.
G-rated.
We've got a great show planned. We've got a PG-rated movie we're going to be reviewing. One that, of course, has been #1 at the box
it, though?
office this week.
Is it?
It's PG-rated. Yeah, that's fine, but it's not a good movie. I'll say that.
You're a good movie.
And Aaron is joining us for that very reason. Are you not?
You?
Yeah, you joined us last time when we did Aladdin.
Mhm.
So you thought, oh yeah, you'll come back for some Lion King.
Lion
action.
King.
You know, I like to come whenever I've actually seen the movie that's being reviewed.
Thank you. We appreciate that here.
So, I'm here.
So, and Keith, you did our wonderful review.
I did. I saw it. I reviewed it. I regretted it.
We all saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my review will probably speak for itself.
We're gonna
but, I
get
mean,
there.
We're gonna get into
We're gonna
this
get
stuff.
there.
I
We're
just-
definitely gonna get there.
I don't want to get into it before we get into it. You
Exactly.
know. So, I
well,
mean,
and that's
have
why
an
I want to
icebreaker.
tease a
Where's the
little bit.
icebreaker?
Well, it's supposed to be in this room
There's
because
no
we
ice.
need it.
there is no ice.
I
but-
think you guys are going to be surprised by what I say about the Lion King.
Really?
Everything you say surprises us.
That's true.
That's
We
true.
took bets on it before we got
Oh,
in.
yeah?
did.
I'm excited to talk about it.
But before that, we also got a great show planned because we kind of teased it last week about our story time segment.
That'll be fun.
We're gonna dive in deep for our wonderful friends that joined us on the Boston trip, but also for anybody who wants to beware of any bad Airbnb experience. It's
Oh my
absolutely
gosh, is
You
that where
did?
the question came from?
Yes.
About the vacation? Okay.
worst vacation.
You got a story
experience
to- see,
on
look, now
story
Aaron
time.
has a
And
story.
now Aaron's ready.
Oh, I got an
Well, it's not
Airbnb
story time yet. We'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Maybe I should have just done that, like worst Airbnb.
Worst
experience.
Airbnb.
Yeah. But we'll get there. So before we got a great show planned, obviously with our special guest here. I guess we should just, I don't know, go ahead and dive in deep to our
Just do
review. Let's
I'd
go.
say yeah. I'd say go for it.
Here's our review of The Lion King.
Disney's teeth and ambition were bared, but they weren't prepared. Yes, it's another live-action remake of a Disney animated classic, the third one this year already. With remakes of Dumbo and Aladdin now behind us, this past weekend saw the release of The Lion King, a remake of one of Disney's most popular and biggest hits from the 90s. Directed by Jon Favreau, who had previously helmed the live-action remake of The Jungle Book, This new adaptation of The Lion King, while touted as live action, is more of a new photorealistic adaptation, as all of its characters are still fake, being CGI creations. However, the movie is set in a real-looking Africa with animals that look real in an attempt at making a film that is still family-friendly, yet more accessible to adults. I'm not really sure what the goal of this film was, honestly. And I have to say, after seeing it, I don't think the filmmakers had one other than to make a lot of cash, which it undoubtedly will. With an all-star cast, The Lion King tells the same story as its 1994 animated counterpart. Mufasa, who is voiced again by James Earl Jones, the only actor to reprise his character from the original, is King of the Pride Lands. His son, Simba, voiced by J.D. McCrary as a cub, and Donald Glover as the adult lion, who is heir to the throne. Scar, voiced by Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mufasa's brother, who seeks to take the throne for himself, soon concocts a plan to murder Mufasa and Simba, leaving himself as heir to the throne. If you've seen the original, you know the story. But sadly, if you've seen the original, you've also seen this film. Because besides a few subtle jokes added here and there, and a line change or two, this film and its predecessor are nearly beat for beat the same movie. From the opening song with the sun rising on the savannah, to Simba climbing Pride Rock to take his place as king, the visuals and script are damn near carbon copies. So much so that I began to grow bored watching the film, waiting for something unique to happen. I've made plenty of jokes in the past about previous remakes being the same movie, but not as good, leaving me with a desire to just watch the original. But this film was so much like the movie it's supposed to be remaking, and so much less than the 1994 version that I didn't even want to finish it before watching the original. I did, however, force myself to sit through the entire film, and was never impressed the whole time, except in one regard. Yes, the visuals are amazing. The hair on each character and animal, the way the animals moved, hunted, and reacted all looked as if I was watching a documentary. The CGI is mind-blowing. However, this ultra-realism was also part of what kept the movie from being as great as the original. In the animated films, characters can emote and make body motions that are completely impossible to do by real animals. For example, in the original, during the song Be Prepared, Scar can jump on volcanic rocks that are sent sky high as the earth moves around him, and the hyena's frog step, unified to create a dark and sordid imagery. In I Can't Wait to Be King, the cubs can jump from giraffe heads and swing from monkeys as they escape Zazu's watchful eye. In this live-action film, these things would look way too bizarre and out of place, leaving us with nothing but the characters' voices to emphasize the emotion. Voice acting is an already difficult task, and with a cast of actors that aren't typical voice actors, they all fail to deliver that raw emotion. In fact, the voice acting all around is just subpar. Even James Earl Jones, who had previously voiced Mufasa, lacked the power and intensity he had in the original. The best amongst the cast, in my opinion, however, goes to Chiwetel Ejiofor, who in the trailer I feared sounded too weak, but surprised me by actually having a low-key menace to his performance. It still pales in comparison to the brilliant performance by Jeremy Irons in the original, but was the only performance in the whole movie I felt was made the actor's own. The musical numbers likewise didn't have the same heart, putting aside the fact that they were already visually handicapped by the film's need to be as real as possible. Only Donald Glover and Beyoncé, professional singers, and Billy Eichner, a theater actor who has sang on stage, sounded good. Ejiofor's performance of Be Prepared was so poor they cut the song almost completely out, ruining one of the best character moments for the villain, leaving him as a more generic usurper than a conniving, charismatic villain he was in the original. Ultimately, this film was beat for beat the 1994 movie with none of the charm and no soul. It's still a good story, but it's the same story. All the emotional cues are there and the wonderful music and songs, but it all feels half-hearted. The only redeeming qualities come from the original, with this new version only offering up photorealistic characters as a plus, but it's nowhere near enough. I give The Lion King 1.5 out of 4 stars.
You don't know those
those
lyrics
are
right
not the
there, do
words.
you?
I don't think that's what
I've
they
been
said.
to Africa,
wasn't-
and that is not the words.
That was not accurate at all.
No.
Nobody really knows
No.
the words.
So 1.5
Somebody knows
out
the
of
words.
4 stars.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna go around in circles because we've all seen it. I, for one, absolutely 100% agree. 1.5 out of 4 stars from me. Sean, what'd you think?
I had 2.
2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And Miss Boyd.
A Ron.
Are you all ready for this?
Oh gosh.
I said 1.5 stars.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
She's
She
it's
found
a
a
miracle
movie that she didn't like.
Oh
She's
my
so proud of
gosh.
herself too.
I am, because as soon as I heard that you said 1.5, I was like, I nailed it.
Well, so if Aaron didn't like it, that really I think is it. Because I mean, Aaron even like we didn't care. Let me say that. We didn't
Aaron
care.
likes everything.
We didn't care a lot for Aladdin, and she was fine with that.
And Transformers.
Transformers.
Everything.
But no, I'm just. The fact is that obviously this movie is lacking something, even for someone who's more of a hardcore fan of Disney, because even you weren't impressed with it.
Yeah. But it's,
I thought Aaron would have
moving
more
on.
to add.
Oh, sorry. No, I mean, I just definitely agree. I thought it was beautiful sensory, but there wasn't the characterness to
Development?
it. There just wasn't.
I get you exactly.
The whole, like they took out the part where Timon and Puma put on the.
Timon and Pumbaa.
Wow.
Pumbaa.
That's a whole new character.
You know what I'm talking about. Timon and Pumbaa put on the dresses and like to distract the hyenas.
Well, they can't. Real animals
real
can't
animals.
do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I seen something on Twitter that said this had potential to be really great, but Disney had to be National Geographic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was like, that's kind of.
That's what it was.
Well, and that
That
was
is
the
kinda
early
what it was.
criticisms we even heard when we were talking about like without the emotions that you could see on their face.
Yeah,
And that was
yeah.
like, for one, you're already making them talk.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna make them talk, why can't you make them show
Smile
emotion?
or
Yeah.
anything.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I think that was a cop out for them to be
It
like, well, we don't
was-
want to show them have emotions because
Yeah.
real animals don't. Well, real animals
But
don't talk.
even the voice acting didn't have emotion.
No.
It was,
There
yeah, it
was
was
nothing
very
there.
flat for most of the performers. I thought, yeah, all of it was just very dry.
It's like
kinda
they
just
handed
read
them
some
the
script.
script for the original movie and said, read this.
James Earl Jones didn't have this. I
No.
told when I first started watching the movie, the very first scene after the opening
Yes.
scene where Mufasa confronts Scar about not being at the presentation. In the
Mm-hmm.
original, when like they get into an argument and he's like, "Is that a challenge?" and he's like angry and he snarls his teeth.
Yeah.
And in this, he's just like, "Is that a challenge?" Like,
Yeah.
like I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Like that's it? Like I don't care. I'm the king. I mean, he just sounded tired.
Even when he was getting ready to die, like he's hanging on to the cliffside and Scar
Yeah.
puts his claws in him and he's in the original cartoon he says, please, brother.
Yeah.
He's like, brother, please help me. Like there's some
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
some
like
gusto.
he's begging. The king
Yeah.
is begging for help. And in this movie, it was just like, help me. And then he lets I felt nothing when
No.
that happened at all.
Oh yeah, there wasn't
voice-
even just the between the two. I mean, Scar was never very menacing. Like it's like I said in my review, I thought his voice acting was the best, and I still do because he actually was lively with it. But it wasn't menacing like Jeremy Irons was in the
Yeah.
original.
Yes.
It was the best amongst this cast, but it was still not good.
No.
You know?
Well, see, I disagree. I think Seth Rogen's was
Actually,
the best
he
voice
was
acting in the movie.
He did
Actually, and I would disagree and say it was
Billy Eichner.
Timon.
Yeah,
yeah,
Billy
Timon. I
Eichner.
thought
Really?
Timon.
Yeah, he
was.
did great.
Okay.
He did
I
a
thought
good
he
job.
was like comparable to who I forget the
Nathan
original
Lane?
Nathan Lane, which
Yeah.
I thought it was Billy Crystal for some reason. I don't know why.
I used to think that too.
He sounds
but
dead up like
yeah,
him.
it's
But
definitely one.
I thought Timon was honestly the best acted
Yeah.
in the movie.
I didn't know until this year that Matthew Broderick did old Simba.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
I
did
did
the
not
adult
know
Simba.
that.
Yep.
and which is that really
Even
is
he was.
that's the most amazing thing out of all this
Donald
is that
Glover
for one
the best acting
Yes, he
Matthew
did.
Broderick's ever done.
And Beyonce was terrible.
yes
Yeah.
I thought she was
She's
terrible.
very dry.
well okay I didn't think she was terrible but I didn't think she was used.
She was.
I just thought it was
She was there.
yeah, but she was she acted exactly like the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was just at that point you have to call it bad direction.
Yeah.
because
I did enjoy some of the like added humor, some of the new humor that
Some
they
of the
added.
lines were good.
They were. I mean, I chuckled. They were funny. Like when he was like, "You've gained 400
Yes,
pounds."
that's actually the
Sorry.
exact example
That
I
was-
gave to Sean and
that was
Brad.
funny.
Brandon's neighbor Brian. We were over there, and I said that was like my favorite line in the whole movie. Is at the end of Hakuna Matata.
It was really the
He's
only
like, "Well, you
lines
gave-
that were any good
Yeah.
were the ones that they added. All of the
Yes.
ones that were from the original script they just fell short.
and that's the problem. The problem was is if you're going to use like 90% of the original original script, you're going to have that one-on-one comparison. That's the problem. It's like, if you don't want us to compare it to the original, don't make it so much like that.
Well, I mean,
let alone the
not
shot
even
for
just-
shot open,
yes.
the shot for shot scenes.
Almost all of it was
all
shot
of it
for
was
shot.
shot
Some
for
of
shot.
it-
And
of
so
it-
you're going to have that alongside the script. It's like a direct replica
It's like
of,
they
the,
took
of the
the
original.
1994 script and the 1994 storyboards and like, all right, here's our storyboards and here's our script.
Let's
we'll tweak a
update
few
the
things.
CGI.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah.
Now, see, that's where I disagree with you guys. Like, I think that's impressive. I think that's really cool to see it come to
That's
life.
why I gave it 2 stars.
But that's why I gave it 1.5.
Yeah, but I gave it 2 versus
Yeah.
1.5 because it impressed me how they took
Visually?
an old movie
Yeah.
and remade. And I was telling them next door, like, when they shot The Disaster Artist and they showed shot for shot how they recreated the scenes from The Room with that impressed me.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that gave me that extra
But see-
half star of this was how they went back and redid the entire film, but with all
But here's
this
the
new
only
technology.
I was gonna say the visuals were impressive,
Yeah.
but not to me that they shot for shot made it almost like the original.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, I'm like, that's just the beauty of digital artistry anyway. As you have
Yeah.
a computer, you're gonna be like, to me, it's not the same as like a video game that was made in the mid '90s
And they remastered
and
it.
they remaster it to now where you have to redo it from the ground up.
Yeah.
But it has the same feel that it had from the original, just with refreshed graphics. Whereas this movie, I'm like, for one, like the whole live action
Nothing was
notion.
live.
There was nothing live in
yeah,
it. It was
even
all
the
It's all
backgrounds are
CGI.
digital too.
right.
Yeah.
And so because of that, mixed in with, well, for one, you're building it from the ground up anyway, but you're just using a template of what I consider to be more painstakingly beautiful, which was the art from the original.
That's true.
And that's why I was like, in a world filled with CG, we've already been fighting this uphill battle for so long of how much is too much in a movie
Yeah.
with visual effects. So from a movie that's completely visually created, in a computer generated,
I mean, it
I just
it looked
thought
real.
it looked
was impressive.
beautiful.
That's
but I just didn't.
that's what impressed
yeah.
me, the photorealism, and I agree with you to a certain extent. I did want to see something different, but I was really impressed especially at the opening. That was even the little ants carrying the leaves on the branch.
Yeah.
are
No, I
straight
agree.
from the cartoon. I'm just like, to go back and redo every camera angle,
Yeah.
even the height of the camera.
Yeah,
For
the
those shots, I'm
angle
like,
of the
they
camera.
redid everything meticulously and made it look
Well, and I will say for
photorealistic,
the
and
open,
I liked that.
for the open, I actually was impressed. I thought that would be the one part of the film that they would try to replicate 100%.
and
Yeah.
then go
but
new
and then
the
do
rest.
their own new
Because
thing.
John
Yeah.
Favreau tweeted out multiple times that this movie is not going to be
The
a carbon
exact
copy.
same, yeah,
and that's
it was.
exactly what it was.
It wasn't. Well, all of it, as far as like the story went, but like I said, the ultra realism, which was impressive, I thought took away from the emotional parts, though.
Well, yeah.
And it's like it was beat for beat, but I mean, Rafiki wasn't the same. I mean, even the
Nope.
voice actor was kind of old and tired. He didn't
Yeah.
have the energy that the Rafiki in the '90s version did when he's teaching somebody, whacks him on the head. He's like, "Yes, the past
That's what
can't
I was
hurt."
gonna say.
Yeah.
To have so much of it the same, I felt like the random parts that they did decide to take out were crucial
They
parts.
took out
Like,
like
that was a
why'd they
huge
took that out? I don't
lesson.
know. That was such a
Yeah.
awesome
It doesn't
moral
matter.
point.
It's in the past. Everybody says that.
It's
from,
like, it's like you can either learn from it or
Yeah.
run from it. And it's
Yeah.
like that was such an integral part of Simba learning that
again,
I have to
it
go
was-
back and do what's right. And
It was
wasn't in
another.
there.
It was another moment where, because so much was the same, you have that uncanny. You have
Comparison.
to have
Yeah.
that comparison, and when it doesn't live up to it because there isn't enough for you to, emotionally connect with the film, then that is poor direction. And I'm sorry, but there were so many moments throughout this film where the dialogue fell flat. This was a stupid little, this was my biggest complaint in the film, and I know this is goofy, but can you feel the love tonight? And none of the scenes are at night.
I know.
And I'm like, why?
Can
Why
you
would you have a
feel
song?
The love
That's-
at dusk.
Yes, that's what it sounded like.
There was no night.
And I'm like, it started at dusk, and I'm like, when we get into night here?
No, I hated that
And
Timon and
you
Pumbaa
don't get it
didn't have
right.
as much emotion in that part either, because he's all
Yeah.
like they're crying and
Yeah.
stuff in the original, and
Yes.
they were just like, "Oh, our friend's leaving.
Right.
Oh well."
And again,
thing.
another missed opportunity with failed
Yeah.
emotion throughout the whole. And I don't know.
Failed emotion.
It's sad because it's like, I don't know. It's sad, but it's also, I think, what we've come to expect from these Disney live action remakes, especially one that's not really live action.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week on our multimedia segment, which is, do we really even foresee a turning point?
I don't know. I think our last hope might be
And-
Mulan. That might
Yeah.
be it. Just
And-
because that looks different, but we'll see. I don't know.
And it looks to completely deviate from the formula they've used so far, which
Yep.
is a almost 100 or 90% remake of
I
the
mean, they've
original.
basically announced pretty much live action adaptations for
Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
So at this point, you can expect it to happen. It's just a matter of
Even
when.
some of the movies that I feel like aren't really even doable live action, I think they've.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what was
Lilo
the one,
and
Brad?
Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch
Yeah,
was.
that's-
I've seen the artwork for that one, and I'm just like, that's
I don't
terrifying.
know.
Like, that's gonna scare kids because it looks scary.
I felt like Lion King was a little darker than the
Really?
original.
Yeah.
I
well,
did.
see, that's one of the scenes from the original Lion King that scared me when I was a kid. Was the "Be Prepared" part?
Yeah, that was
with
awful.
the hyenas and
Well,
and
not that
the-
part.
I loved that song.
butchered
but at the
that.
same time, that scene scared me with the hyenas marching and
Yes,
basically
they're doing the
goose
fir-
stepping
they're-
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, and they took all of that out and
Yes.
gave him just a talking line where he doesn't even really sing.
Yeah, no, I thought that
And-
was
and
bogus
cut
too.
it short. They only
Well,
did
and
one verse of
I
the
told
song.
Keith
Yeah.
this when they started it. I just kept thinking, oh, they're adding a new song.
Yeah,
And then he got
no.
to the "Be Prepared," and I was
Prepared.
like, oh,
Yep.
it's that song. Like, I had no clue
Yeah, it
we
was
were even
terrible.
at that point. And
Well, the added song to the film was
I actually
not
didn't
a good
mind.
song.
You didn't like
I
Spirit?
No, I didn't think it was a very good song.
I liked it.
No.
That was the one. Those were
That's
the
funny.
pointers I was going to give
he
Beyonce.
just likes Beyonce.
No.
Yeah. like-
It was not. I didn't.
I'm afraid to trash Beyonce because I know there will be haters.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll
I don't
trash
want-
her.
I'm afraid.
Everybody like. I'm just saying. They revealed her character in posters. They did the character posters.
Yeah.
Like with all the animals, and when they showed
gosh, here
Beyonce's
we
lion,
go.
people online were like, "Look how regal her lion looks." It's like it looks like a lion.
It's a lion.
It's like
It doesn't have
just
the big
because
booty
It's, I don't,
at
just
all.
because it's Beyonce, why are we like, "Oh, look at her
Yeah.
lion"?
because
That
it's
was
Bay.
stupid.
You don't mess with Queen Bay.
They
She
should have
sucked.
had
She
Nala
was
be like, "Your
awful.
love
She
got
was-
me looking so
she was
crazy
not awful,
right
but it
now."
was
That would have been good.
Well, the
That could
thing
have been a
is
twist.
this movie's on track to make $1 billion. So
Oh, it's going
it's
to.
going to.
We knew before it came out.
we're
It was
gonna have
make
more
bank.
films like this because it's 713 million right now.
Yeah.
What are all?
That's insane.
do
by
we
the
have
way.
a
Yes.
thing of like what all the viewers are not like critics are saying,
certified
but what
rotten.
viewers are
The
saying?
viewer
viewers
score
like
is,
it.
is
It's
up.
actually up there.
Really?
They like it.
60-something.
It's a 60. I thought it was upwards in the 80s.
I thought
is
it was
it?
in the 80s.
Is it
I
really?
think it's up in the
Yeah.
80s. Check that. Yeah.
Interesting.
They're okay with it being a carbon copy because
Yeah.
I'm
they
not
just,
mad about. I've
Oh, no,
told
no.
you guys how I feel about that. I'm not mad about making carbon copies, but it just wasn't. It didn't have the motion for me.
Which and that's the curious thing. Like, I'm at least glad that you're willing to point that out because I think
wow.
a lot of
Yeah.
people would have went to
89%.
89.
Yeah, it was high.
I think a lot of people go to see it in the theater and then they walk out and they're like, yeah, that
They-
reminds me of the original.
That's what they want. They want
And
that
then they're like,
nostalgia kick,
exactly.
and it serves that purpose.
Which is weird because to
But
me
it doesn't at the same
Exactly.
time.
I
That was my.
That's how I felt.
because
but I mean,
without the emotion you don't have that
I did
nostalgia.
have that
kick.
problem with
Absolutely.
Aladdin too. Believe it or not, not to like go
Jump
back
back
and
to
talk
your-
about it
yeah.
again, but it
I
wasn't the
just,
same.
I know. I'm
it
with
was
you. Keith.
not.
Anyway,
So 1.5 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, yeah.
We definitely think this is a step backward, way backward for the Disney live action remakes. Even though it's got a high audience score, critics I think are finally starting to
they're
turn
not
up and
slowing
say,
down
"Listen,
anytime soon.
No,
52% critics, which I know
Yeah.
we've said before. Rotten Tomatoes isn't like
It's-
the end all.
It's no.
thing,
I
but
mean, it's all opinion. based.
Everybody
most of the
uses it.
reviews that you read,
When
like
they give
actual
a good
reviews, are pretty
review-
negative.
when they give a good review, I'm like, dang, this movie must be good.
Yeah.
They remind me of you guys.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
They're super critical. of
But that's
Well-
the thing because it's a review aggregate.
It's
so it
from-
just takes all of these sources and it puts them together and averages them. And so the average review of a critic is like, no, this movie sucks.
Yeah.
And we
Critics
would tend
are
to
critical.
agree. Yeah.
And that's their job is
Right.
to be critical.
You're
So yeah, when there's a score like 83%, like the other movie I saw this week, Crawl, like that sparks your interest, and if critics gave it that, then I'll go check it out.
Right.
And that was a good movie, so I would say,
Which is
like,
funny though, because if I remember seeing the trailer and I thought, an
thinking, like-
alligator in like a freaking flooded area.
Yeah, and I
it's
mean
like,
that's
it
what you
looks
would
hokey.
think, but no, this movie had like an amazing storyline, had an awesome father-daughter relationship. It had a lot of, in my mind, biblical kind of lessons and stuff. But even
Really?
the whole movie was the whole movie
How
was based off of
interesting.
a Bible verse, by the way. So
It is?
it's based off Matthew 7:25 about the house built upon the rock. And,
Are you
and
serious?
it plays,
Like,
in,
does
it
it
plays into the
start,
movie
like, with
because of
that?
the way that no. But
Oh.
the Bible verse is in
I
the
was like-
movie, but that's what it's based on because this house is the only house that doesn't fall apart, and it ends up saving their lives because the
Nice.
father built it on a stone foundation and built the foundation. It's one of the reasons they can't escape, but it's also one of the reasons that
So it's
keeps them
working
alive
against
later.
them, too.
So it was a really interesting story. It had a lot of good themes in it about pushing yourselves and how parents are hard on their kids when they're young, but it's because we want them to succeed when they're
Yeah.
older. And the pushing that this father does on her when she's a child is what ends up saving their lives when she's an adult, and they're trapped in this crawl space with a bunch of hungry alligators during a hurricane.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a very believable. Like there wasn't anything unbelievable about
See,
it.
and
except
that was the
sounds
weird
very
part.
it was very
Right.
cool. The
Reminds me
basement
of
starts flooding,
Sharknado or
and
something.
the alligators come up, on land, and because their home is being flooded by the hurricane, and they end up in the dude's crawl space, and he's down there working on the house.
I was gonna say-
for emotional. There's emotional tie to the house, which is really very good. I mean, I cried in the movie. It's a horror movie that made me cry, which is really weird, but. There's just like emotional attachments to the house, and he's down there and gets attacked, and then the daughter finds him later and ends up
Gosh, is he dead?
saving
it
him.
out.
No, he's not dead.
Don't
But,
spoil, don't
yeah,
ask
don't
for
s- no
spoilers.
spoilers.
Spoil it.
I will not
It's
go
a good-
see it.
it's a
I
good
don't
movie.
do scary movies.
It's a good movie. It's a good survival story, and like I said, it's very believable. A lot of them creature features, like with animals attacking, they're not believable.
No.
And this movie
Well, that's
was,
what like the
this was
trailer of
very
this made me
believable.
think it was. They were kind of going for that hokey like.
It's not a Lake Placid or
Yes,
anything. No,
exactly.
It's grounded in reality. Other than it is a horror movie, so it's kind of like everybody that comes to try to save them ends up, getting eaten and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I don't know if the alligators would really be that hungry, but they
They're that hungry. Sean.
it's very intense, and it was
Hungry
It was one of those like
alligator.
edge of your seat kind of movies. But that's a movie, like I said, you can trust Rotten Tomatoes. And I saw that score, and I was like, this is an
Really?
87-minute horror thriller kind of film, and they gave it 83%. So yeah, I think I'll take the time to go see it. And I was one of two people in the theater, and it was a very impressive movie. It was very good.
Okay, so
Twas
defi-
good.
so don't go see Lion King. Go see
Go
Crawl.
see Crawl, 3 out of 4
Crawl.
stars.
Nice.
For me.
Wow. 3 out of 4.
Other than the very quick ending, like I said, the movie's only 87 minutes long, but I appreciate that because there's not a lot. I don't really want to see a 2-hour and 20-minute movie about people running from alligators.
Yeah.
Like there's only so much you can do
Right.
in there. And one
that,
of the
that seems like it hits the sweet spot. It's like Cloverfield.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you don't want to
Yes.
see 2
Yeah.
hours of shaky cam footage,
Right.
but like 86 minutes is I think how long.
one of
that
the
one is.
interesting things I'll add real quick is not a lot of time passes in the film. Once they get into the area that they're going to be trapped for the rest of the film, it's you're down there with them for the remainder of and there's no passage of time. So they're literally
in real
in there.
time.
Yeah, they're in there for like about 45 minutes. And all of this stuff is happening in just about that amount of time. So it's
Dang.
pretty it's pretty cool.
How many
pretty cool.
people
It's
was
urgent.
eating in 45 minutes?
A bunch.
Dang.
Bunch.
all the people's Aaron.
I don't know.
Everybody dies. All right, guys.
Everybody
I think we're gonna
does
switch
die.
Unfortunately,
gears.
that's a movie that's not going to make $700 million.
No.
Which is just
It might now that it's been on Red Moon Podcast.
That's
and
true.
Been approved.
and
That's
everybody's
true.
gonna go see it because
It's-
we got millions of
it's
listeners and
certified
viewers.
fresh.
Y'all are a bunch of
Do you guys
liars.
still have the England guy listening?
Yes, we still have our English UK
Shout
listener.
out to the English.
We got all kinds of
Yeah.
we got all kinds of viewers and listeners.
Brexit,
they pop
isn't that
up
his-
on our
that's his
Facebook
nickname?
here. We see them all. Our families watch. My family's at home watching right now. My nephew Hunter. He wanted me to
Oh
mention
yeah,
his name.
that's
yeah.
right. He
Well, there
did.
you
There you go, Hunter.
up,
You put that
Hunter?
in there really good.
They're-
Yeah, we did. I was gonna say,
was
hopefully
great.
he stayed tuned all the way to this.
Well,
Maybe
if he
he's
didn't,
not.
it's his. They're playing. They're at home playing Magic.
So they're not
Gathering
even paying-
cards.
Bunch
So
of
they probably
nerds.
got it in the background. They're playing.
nerds.
It's fun. It's fun.
That's how rumors get started, Keith.
No, they're playing. They are. They're at home playing Magic.
Do you know
Playing
what
Magic.
Magic the Gathering
The-
is?
the card
Are you a
game.
nerd?
Oh
Aaron?
no. I was thinking like legit.
Yeah, they're
Magic.
at home doing
They're at
magic
home,
tricks.
Like,
Yeah.
Kinley's sitting on the couch while Hunter's pulling rabbits out of his hat.
Yeah. It's one of those games where if I was still in high school, I would have been like, that's gay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But see, I'm not in high school
bully.
But
anymore.
see, I would have
It's
been
2019. I
playing
can't say
Pokemon.
stuff like that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, at work. At work, whenever they say that, they follow it with, but there's nothing wrong with that.
That's gay. And that's all
Perfectly
right.
acceptable now. It wasn't, but it is now.
Stop it.
What?
Stop it.
Stop what?
What are we stopping?
Are you censoring me?
What's
We're
next?
keeping this a G-rated show this
Oh.
week for Marley,
G for
okay?
Marley.
Hopefully Marley's still tuning in.
And me.
Maybe
Okay.
she had to be put to bed because we just started going on gay jokes.
So,
Well,
maybe
okay.
she had to be put
I
down
didn't
because
tell
we're
a
talking
gay
about gay
joke.
people.
All right, we are switching gears to our headlines. You were
What's in
talking
the
about
headlines?
big blockbusters.
I didn't know where he was going with that.
Talking about big,
Gay jokes aside, now
Gay
we're going to start talking about
blockbusters.
big. I was like, okay.
big magic.
Big blockbusters.
Yes, and we can finally announce the happy news that we have
We
been
can.
waiting for on the Red Moon podcast.
Oh, happy day.
Keep it go, Aaron. Sing it.
I was doing the backup.
Can you keep going?
Keith has to
Can
keep
you
it
sing
going.
the
I don't know
whole
the rest of the
thing?
words.
Oh, happy day
Ooh, get it.
when Jesus was.
Oh.
That's
That's
not what I
not
was
the
singing.
one.
It's
That's
about
not the one.
Endgame. We're talking
Yeah.
about
Oh.
Endgame. Can you throw Endgame in there, or is that sacrilegious?
Only a little bit.
If I can't talk about gays, you can't talk about Jesus.
What's the song you were talking about?
No, that's it.
No.
I'm
No.
just no.
No.
What are you talking about?
It's
Oh,
it's a-
happy day, yeah.
Yeah. That's not. No, it's not. Not the. It's a secular song.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? Endgame is finally king. Okay,
It
whooped
is.
Avatar out of the top spot.
barely, but
That's
it
right.
is. It's there. It
Oh, I
won.
thought you were doing like the Lion King,
No,
where he
that
holds
was
him up.
King.
Nice.
It was a crown.
Are we not happy about this, guys? Can you believe it? Finally.
Did you ever say what it was?
Yes,
don't
I just said it.
Okay.
Endgame whooped Avatar out of the top spot.
It did.
We've
I'm
been
not
waiting.
even sure that I liked Avatar that much.
Yeah, I remember you loving it back then.
No,
Because you were all like, I love that line.
I love that it said, "I see you."
Yeah.
That's what.
I did
That's
like
terrible.
that.
Isn't that what James
line.
Cameron-
That's what he tweeted. He
Yeah,
did-
that
he
is.
did
That's
the
what he used in the
poster of
tweet.
Iron Man and those little floating things. It's just like, we see you, Marvel. I'm like, oh, that's, I was like, that's so bad.
Yeah.
So terrible.
That was bad.
But
Congratulations.
hey, we have to at least give a shout out to JC for finally bowing
Shout
down.
out
James.
to Jesus Christ. Who's
James
JC?
Cameron.
James Cameron.
Oh, what's up,
Brandon
James?
won't-
James
he
Cameron.
won't
I don't
mention
like
his name.
saying his name.
Oh,
It's
so-
okay. He's dethroned now.
He who
He
shall
is-
not be named.
James Cameron's dethroned. He's no longer got the highest grossing film. of
Now
all
there
time.
is worry and speculation that, of course, it won't be forever because it's not by much. But unless Avatar re-releases anytime soon,
I can see Disney re-releasing Avatar
Yeah.
before Avatar 2, and then it'll just retake that crown.
See, okay, here's the thing. Now, Sean, you had some speculation
Yeah.
about your thoughts as to what was going to happen with Endgame being in the top spot.
Mhm.
Care to divulge what you
I think Avatar 2 will knock it back down.
you think so?
But I think there will be other films before that will take Endgame out.
Like,
Well, I still think Star Wars is going to... I think this Christmas Star Wars is going to make bank.
I see.
Now,
okay,
I don't think it's going to do it in its...
initial run.
In its initial run.
You don't
But
think
I,
so?
I do think Star Wars, with
The
it being the
last
last
episode-
movie, I think
episode
it will
9.
get a re-release. And I think it'll re-release with all of the films in theaters. And before they re-release like everything in 4K Blu-ray altogether, I think they'll run it in theaters again.
See, even then, I still just don't. I don't see both on both of those points. I think because Episode 7 is already the highest grossing film
Well,
here
it made it.
domestically.
Episode 7 made it at the time to third highest grossing.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
and that's
But
what
that was
I
the
remember.
hype
We
over-
touted
That
it
was
as
before
being
Episode 8.
right.
Yeah.
And we
But-
touted that as being the one that was going to take out
And
Avatar
it
at the time.
it didn't. It didn't even take out Titanic.
No.
That's sad. But
No.
the hype over Star Wars Returning really boosted that one.
But the problem is I think with Episode 8,
With Last
really
Jedi.
diminishing any hopes
That's true.
of people's.
I see your point on that.
Yeah, I thought that really is the.
I think
But
people are going to be a lot more cautious. Yeah, because of Episode
Yes.
8.
But I think it's going to be good. And I think when people hear it's good, they're coming out of the woodwork
The,
to see
the
it.
biggest problem I see, and this is the problem all the Star Wars films have, is they have like no box office in China. Like that's
Yes.
without the Chinese
That'll
box
hurt.
office.
Yeah.
Like I mean, because that's most of Avatar's money came from overseas.
That's
It didn't
And
make
Endgame didn't do good overseas.
no. It made most of its
So,
money domestically.
yeah.
But
in
but it
reverse.
actually
But it
did
still
do
had
really
enough.
well in China. I
'cause
think
it
Yeah,
came
it
from
did.
America.
Yeah, China.
it made very well.
It did make bank in
It did
China.
make it made out very well.
And without that Chinese market, I think it's gonna be very hard for them to top.
But
off.
I also I still don't think Avatar 2 either. As long as I know he's been pushing the date back, and I know that ultimately
he's gonna die before they release.
That's possible too.
I mean, he's gonna be like George R.R.
I don't
Martin
think he's
over
gonna.
this.
I think like with the first film, he's not gonna have any competition when he releases it.
True.
well, no,
And I
Disney's making
think-
sure of
I
that.
think Disney likes having the top spot, and they have all of these franchises that are now theirs, and I think they're gonna play back and forth, and they're gonna do what it takes to play back and forth with that top
But
spot.
I think that to me the biggest thing is how I think Avatar the first one was an exception, not the rule. And I think for it to have come out at the time and have had so many weeks uncontested at with
Like 11.
barely any competition, yes, in the box office.
And at the time, it was giving people, average audience members, things they had never seen before.
right. Well, it
And
had
now
fantastic marketing.
Yeah, and now you see that type of stuff in blockbusters all the time.
But I
so-
also think that's a testament to it being an anomaly because of how many films it did take Marvel to have to release to get the hype built for another film.
22 films.
22
Yeah.
films
Yeah.
to build up the hype so that you would have one massive film that would
Like
be worth
Endgame,
going
yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's why I'm like, I think just the success of the original Avatar alone is by far kind of like how in the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
But after it did happen, I think now you look back and it's like, okay, there's no chance of that happening again, especially with the sequels. And I think you look at, think about the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then you look at Empire Strikes Back, you look at Return of the Jedi, and still huge blockbusters, but nowhere near the
As big as
monumental
the first
success
Star
of the original Star Wars
Yeah.
because of what it represented.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. I know I don't like James Cameron as a human being. And I know you all, I know you, but the guy's smart.
He
and,
is.
and I really think that he's got something up his sleeve, or he wouldn't be investing $1 billion into 3 more movies, and probably more than that later. I know it's $1 billion that he's invested in the next 3 sequels.
It's 4.
There's 4.
Yeah, they're making
and they're
2,
filming
3,
them all
4,
at the
and
same
5.
time.
Yep.
So I don't really think he's going to pump that kind of cash, or Disney would pump that kind of cash into something that's not going to outdo the first.
Well, I think
And
it's a
so
smart thing
I think
to
it'll
fund
outdo
it.
Avatar 1, and
Oh,
in doing so, I think it will be
See,
top.
I think it's smart for them to do them all at the same time, especially if he's funding it. But again, I think the first one proved enough success to fund it
Yeah,
and made obviously tons of money to fund it.
yeah.
But I still think that even then it's like, so what? Even if the next one comes out and it's a flop, but then the third one's good and the fourth one's good, it's like I still think you'd have to have this string of successes to build up that same kind of like hype, one right after the other one releases.
Yeah.
To build in that same kind of like love and care and devotion.
No, I
And it's
get
like-
that, but
and-
nobody thought any. People didn't even think Endgame was going to outdo Infinity War when it was first released. It was just like, how can you top this?
Yeah.
And nobody thought Infinity War would top Avengers. It's just like every movie was better and better and better. And if he can do that with the next couple of Avatar movies,
Right.
so many people saw the first one and loved it.
Yeah.
They're going to come and see the second one. And they're going to say, well, this is the sequel to the highest grossing movie of all time.
I think that's how they're
and
going to
they're
sell
gonna,
it.
And, well,
Yeah.
I'm sure they will.
Right.
And if he's smart, he will sell it that way. But I still think Avatar 2
I just
will overthrow the
I
first
feel
one.
people went and saw it a lot because of the spectacle. I don't feel people love it, especially anymore. Like, I mean, because
To me, that's the thing.
Because
Th-
I
it's
know
standing
when we were
power.
at the lake, like we had a copy of it. Someone put it in, and people were watching. And they're like, "This isn't as good." Like a lot of people watching was like, "This isn't as good as I thought it was when I first saw it." And like, it's not as like it's iconic for like what
Its
it was
time.
and
Yeah.
for its success. But as far as like iconic characters and this and that, people don't like. I don't know anybody that remembers like really their names or other than like the Navi, the blue people, and
Yeah.
Unobtainium, just because of how terrible that name
terrible.
is. But I mean, I don't think they have like the iconic, like that iconic image like Han Solo had. Like, you show a picture of Han Solo or Chewbacca, people who've never watched Star Wars recognize
No.
those characters.
Yeah.
They recognize the Navi for the big blue people, but I don't think they could pick one out of the lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think that's why I think ultimately it's going to depend on the success. I don't think the second one would do it, but I think it would have to take 3 more sequels to have that.
Oh,
world
they're definitely going to
building.
try. I do know
Oh,
that.
yeah, no
they're
doubt.
definitely going to try.
Yeah.
And here's
We'll
the
see.
thing: they have money from just the first one to try.
Yeah.
And to honestly, they could release 4 flops, and it
Disney's
still
got-
wouldn't hurt.
Disney's got money in the bank. Like,
Yes.
they're
Oh, yeah,
not worried
they've got
about
money
it.
to blow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it with all these remakes, but they're still making money. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. It doesn't even matter if Avatar 2 is a good movie. It may not. It probably won't be a good movie. It'll probably be just like the first. But people are still going to pay money to see it.
Oh,
I
they're gonna
can't
watch it.
believe The Lion King has made this much money.
I know.
It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is this still making
But it's purely
that
that
much money?
name.
Oh, it's
It's
gonna
by that
break-
name.
yeah,
It's,
it's
it's
gonna break a
totally a
billion.
cash grab.
I know.
Totally a
but-
cash
So
grab.
Avatar is it's a money making name.
But
right
then
now.
again, but again, I think that goes back to like what Keith was saying. That's under the impression that I think Avatar was a bigger. To me, its staying power is just not as great. I just don't think. I think since it released and since here we are 10 plus
We got
years later.
2 more years to find out.
yeah,
But
we've
here's
got 2 more
here's the
years.
other
December
thing to think about, though.
2021.
Titanic was a movie with staying power.
Yeah.
It's Titanic, but
Yes.
but Avatar beat Titanic. And it's
Yeah,
just like
but
in
but
the
if you
long
look,
run too.
but
in
even
the long run.
but even it was funny. We even pulled up an article where you were
Adjusted
talking about
for inflation.
Adjusted
Adjusted
for inflation. And
Endgame is
Avatar,
number 5.
right? But Avatar's
Yeah.
not even in the top
Top
10.
10.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
Yeah.
like when you look at it that way, I'm just like that just shows you
It's not
based
old
on
enough to
how
be in the
many
top 10,
and how
but-
many tickets sold versus what the prices of tickets are.
Yeah.
When you consider all the
This-
specialty
It
tickets.
was a really good article. It showed you the amount of tickets sold because they said like and Gone with the Wind, which is still number
Yeah,
1
I
with
sent
like
you the article.
adjusted for inflation. was-
Sean knows
did,
it.
did he? Because Brandon showed
No, I
me.
I
didn't
sent
know
an
the same
article that had everything about the inflation and because it even said that one of the things Avatar had going for it.
Yeah, that was about
the
Avatar. This was
ticket sale
just
price
specifically
and stuff like that.
the one Brandon showed
Yeah,
me was
this-
from like see like it had nothing to do with Avatar. Like,
It,
didn't
well,
talk
this
about
this was just talking
Yeah.
about how in game, everybody wants to talk about the highest grossing film of all time.
Yes, but
you never
adjusted
take
for
into
inflation,
you
it's
never
not.
take that into
Yeah.
consideration.
Is
But
it
even for
Gone
adjusting
with
for
the Wind
inflation,
sold, like-
but even for adjusting for inflation, you still have to take into consideration that currency doesn't always fluctuate, best across history.
Yeah.
And it's like you're trying to take an average ticket price for back then versus how many people saw it. And you look at all the specialty formats; they don't consider those now.
Yeah, they don't
And it's like
consider
if you look
3D
at an
and all that,
average
yeah.
ticket price versus like an IMAX, which is like $18 versus $8.
It says the average
That's
ticket
a
price for today
huge-
is $9, but that's not. I can't imagine that's true.
Well, the average
because-
back then was like seven something.
Yeah,
So
but even then, it's still the issue of like you ultimately look at how many tickets were sold.
yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw a movie for $9. Even when I was paying,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
$11.25 is about the cheapest movie I've ever seen outside of Bardstown.
Or like on a Tuesday, when they have
$5 Tuesdays.
$5
But
Tuesday.
like it said,
Yeah.
like Gone with the Wind had like 201 million tickets sold, and the
Yeah.
next closest was like 98 million or something
yeah,
like that.
which was Avengers Endgame.
So
Endgame was up there with 98, but even then it pales in comparison.
To
No,
201,
Sound of Music was
yeah.
up there with like 150
Sound of
million.
Music was number 3, I think.
Yeah.
Star Wars was up
Jaws
there.
was
E.T.
in
was
there.
in there.
I mean, but just the films that it's like it shows you just because
Those
the
are
ticket prices have
Movies
increased.
that have stand the test of time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
Exactly. And
We'll
so
see.
we'll see.
We'll see come Christmas.
We will.
Yeah,
That's when
we
Star
will.
Wars makes.
We'll see.
Oh well, yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Star Wars is coming up.
But we have one other headline, or should we
Yeah.
just? You know what? I think we should just get into our multimedia segment.
I think so.
Not
do it.
multimedia.
Not my. Sorry.
Oh my God.
I
He's
screwed
ruining
it up.
ruining
I
everything.
do it.
screwed it up. Do you know what this is, Aaron? Our
Um,
our unique weekly segment this week.
This
yeah,
week.
you sent it to me.
I did. Well, yeah, I did. But I'm
Yeah,
saying,
I said topics ? And you sent it back to me.
that's
He
true. I
wasn't even
did.
gonna send it. See, she wanted to be prepared.
I did.
But no, what I was saying, Aaron. Do you reckon? You know why this is special?
I've heard.
You've heard.
I've heard.
Should we just let it play
There's
out
just
and
play
see?
it.
that
Yeah.
it's
All right, just play it.
special.
I'll play it. Aaron, it's our story time segment.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
What's wrong, Aaron?
Wow, who did you get to do that
Wow, I don't
adorable
know.
list?
Yeah.
From the special ed class.
Whose voice could that
We
be?
found some random homeless person we felt sorry for and was like, come in here and record this for us.
That was sweet of them.
Oh.
It's so weird. We've had that like intro for at least
a long time.
I don't know, a year now?
Yeah.
Almost. And it's like, and
Stolen
you've never
property.
been on the show.
It's been
with
a
it.
good while.
There's no royalties that come with that either.
No,
So don't be expecting
sorry.
anything.
You get no money.
No.
Well,
We don't get
just
paid.
got a
We get
T-shirt
money,
after like
nobody else
10
does.
years, so
Yeah.
We don't get paid, so you don't
You
get
can't
paid.
keep that. You have to leave
I
that
had to
here.
give it back.
All right, guys, our unique weekly segment. We kind of teased it earlier in the show.
Did we?
Yes. Our
Okay.
story time segment.
Stories.
Worst vacation experience ever. Let's talk
Ever.
about your worst
Are you
vacation
not
experience.
amused? Where's the little?
It doesn't
Oh,
work.
yes.
I
It's
tried
the
it
thing.
already.
Oh,
I've pushed
dang
like 2
it.
buttons and
You
it
did-
doesn't make any noise.
Oh, it might have closed out.
There you go.
Oh,
Oh,
see, you just had to wake it
entertained.
up.
I did. I pushed.
Excuse me.
Keith's got
I
it.
pushed the Twilight Zone earlier and it didn't do
Didn't
anything.
do it?
No.
Broke the box. There it goes.
Oh, he broke
There
it.
was a moment of silence and I wanted to just do.
That
and
was
it
good.
didn't do anything.
Oh, that would have been good. Keith,
Didn't
don't worry
work.
about it. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it later.
That's an expensive piece of equipment.
See?
It
That,
works.
that replaced our air
It
conditioning.
works. Yeah.
And
We
it
can't get
doesn't
AC.
work.
We
Could
can't
have
get
had
AC,
AC
but we
working for
we
what
can
that
get this.
I'm as mad as hell. I'm not gonna take this anymore.
That's right.
Yes.
Can I comment on this video with my Snapchat video of the
Yeah, go for it.
innovative?
It's
I'm
not
gonna do
working.
it.
Let everybody know.
Oh,
It ain't- I got
gosh.
sweat
Actually, it's.
Let's see.
I think
everywhere.
it's not as bad in here as it
Oh,
was
It's not
last
as bad
week.
as last
think
week.
you
Last
can
week was
post
I,
it.
I
awful.
think that's just because it's not as hot outside.
Well,
as
and
it
we've
was
also,
last
I mean,
week.
no offense, Aaron. We've got another guest, like another
Breathing.
warm
It's
body
your
in here.
fault.
taking up our oxygen. Yeah.
Really?
It's like
You're nothing but a bag of hot air.
let
Get
the
out.
heat out.
I can't
God.
wait to tell
Oh, wow.
you my story.
Sounds like me on the toilet.
What do you do on the toilet?
wait to get off of this thing.
That's like an old man.
That's what I sound like. It's like gasping for every
Okay.
life, every breath of life.
This lower third's been up the whole time.
So,
It's like, how does this have
What's your
anything
worst
to do
vacation?
with worst experience ever on a vacation?
Well,
go ahead,
you
'cause I
know,
think
We're
you
gonna
guys-
get to ours. In a
Who's
second.
starting?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Keith and I. We should start.
We have the same. No,
'Cause
I
we
think
have the same
We have
one.
the same one. So
Yep.
I think one of you two should start. Aaron, you had one just
You
a minute
said
ago.
you
yeah.
teased it, Aaron.
Yeah.
You said Airbnb.
I mean, there's really not. It's not that.
well, then
great
go
of a
with it.
story.
Okay,
Go.
then good because
Okay,
ours is
I'm
good.
just
so
newly introduced to the Airbnb world. Had never done it before,
Mm-hmm.
and so Josh and I were getting ready to go on our honeymoon the second week of July, and a friend of mine from college was getting married the weekend before that, and I was like, man, we just got married, we're doing renovations on the house, we're getting ready to go on our honeymoon, and she lives in Nashville. I should have started with that. She lives in Nashville, so I'm like, I really don't want to spend a buttload of money on a place to stay over the weekend, so let me look on Airbnb. So I found a cheap little place to stay on Airbnb, and I mean, it was safe. I can
That's
say
about
that
all you had.
much, but
It's
it was
safe.
kind of dirty.
how much was it per night?
and
What
there
was
was,
the
like-
average price were you looking at in that
like
area?
$50 or something like that.
$50 a night?
Oh,
But
yeah.
it was 4th of July weekend, so everywhere that I looked to stay, the normal price like skyrocketed
Yes,
Oh,
of
yeah,
course, of
definitely.
course.
in Nashville.
So you found the place that didn't
did not
jack their prices
skyrocket.
up for good reason.
Yep,
And
now
the
you
guy
know.
was really nice, but I
His
don't know.
place
There was
wasn't.
just some like unfamiliar smells that would come,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
Sean's
It wasn't
face.
good. It wasn't good.
Dang.
So, what you can't describe
But
to
that wasn't a
yourself?
Smells.
vacation. It was just a
Well,
weekend.
she said they were unfamiliar. How's she going to describe
Well,
the
I
smells?
just can't.
That's a
They
good
weren't
point.
They weren't
good.
familiar
I
to her
didn't-
palate. She's not
But
gonna
that's
be
what
able
I'm
to
saying. You
describe
She
don't
it.
have
didn't
any
know.
clue.
I don't know.
Sour
It was
milk,
just like
egg,
dank,
ugh.
butt.
some dank
What?
smell.
Swamp ass. I'm hoping Marley's in bed
I
by
don't
now.
Maybe.
I don't know. Moving on. It's
Okay,
not
so-
interesting. It just wasn't that
Sean,
clean.
care to divulge? Do you have one?
It's really weird. The way I look at it is a vacation is better than being at home. So even the worst vacation is still better than being at home.
Thank God.
I mean, I'm serious.
It's like
like
getting
I
away
love
from the
getting
kids.
Do you
away from
hate
everything.
your house?
No, I want to go do something different. It's like I
I
like
feel like
getting
it's
away.
deeper than that, Sean.
No, it's not.
Just
it's not.
joking.
I mean, there's a lot of like little things that have happened on. I really can't think
Yeah,
of a
it's
worst.
little things. I've never
It's
had a
not
bad
like
vacation.
just a
Right.
terrible. Like I mean, your vacation to Boston was fine except for where you stayed.
Yeah, that was a
So
fine
what-
That's
vacation.
why it's
Don't
worst
Don't worry about that.
vacation
I mean,
experience.
I remember a trip to the lake. That was
That's a good one.
that was not very fun because I was entrusted with a jet ski that nobody knew if it worked.
Oh, I've
Apparently,
heard this
Oh,
story.
it works.
and yeah,
We
for
didn't
5
know to put a
minutes.
plug in it.
Yeah, so you left the plug out, meaning it took on water and would not run,
Yeah.
and it was heavy. And I was out in the middle of the lake, no phone. That was before you took a phone with you on the lake because they weren't waterproof back then. When was that? Was that like the first or second year?
That was like, the 2017 or 18. It was the first or second year, yeah.
2017 or
Or
18.
2007 or 8, I
Yeah,
mean.
so that would have been before I had an iPhone anyway, and so couldn't call anybody. I figured after I sat here for a while,
Somebody will show up.
Keith or Neil or somebody will
They were the only other
eventually
And 10
say-
hours later.
sat there for a while and nothing happened. So I started swimming,
He swam.
and I pulled the jet ski behind me with a rope and swam all the way to the cove.
How long would you say it was?
It was
How
a good
far
while.
was
a
the
good
distance?
mile.
A mile swimming.
A good mile.
You could
maybe
do
more.
You could do the Ironman now.
And
I mean, yeah,
tree
you could-
stumps and all, I swam all the way to the cove, towing the stupid jet ski. I didn't even tie it to the dock. At the point I got there, I was just like, F this. I was mad. So I stomped all the way up to the trailer,
Yeah, he came all the way
busted
up.
the door open,
We were
and
still
gave
sitting in
gave them both an earful. I was very mad. And then the next day we went down and found
It was
damn thing
underwater.
sank. And it was under the water. The only thing sticking out was the handlebars. And so we had to have someone, and it was just like, can this get any worse?
And they
Like,
bailed it out.
somebody was gracious enough to help
Some
us
of our
pull it
neighbors
out.
down
and
there.
Yeah, it was just crazy. But I really thought that was one of those moments where I could have died, and nobody would have came to check on me. I was
When it started
mad.
to get, when
I
it
was
started
really
to get
mad.
dark, we would have looked for you.
I was just, y'all were up there watching a movie or playing
We were
Nintendo
doing-
or something.
We were doing something. I
and
don't remember.
I know I busted that door in and gave it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, he was mad.
Yeah.
That's all he could say.
Yeah.
He was mad.
He was.
Where's
Seems
that
like
button?
it's still kind of a sensitive spot.
I'm as mad as hell. I'm not gonna take this anymore.
I had flashbacks this past trip to the lake because Brandon and I got out on the pontoon
That
boat.
was a little bit. It was not
And
nearly as bad.
The battery was dead,
It wasn't nearly as bad.
and we were told that everything worked fine.
Yeah, well, we did.
It did for till
Well,
you got it parked.
We've never. You pushed it out before starting it.
That's true.
No.
That's true. So we pushed the pontoon boat out, and then Brandon and
Yeah,
I
everything
both,
worked last time we checked it.
We both
can't-
got out and tied a rope to
responsible for that
ourselves
one.
and pulled it back to the boat dock.
Oh,
So-
see, it gets better.
Yeah.
Maybe next year you'll have three people, helping you.
That's all we can count on.
Yeah. So, that I mean, really, that's like, other than like going on vacations with other people that I wish we wouldn't go on vacations with and stuff like that. Like, I mean, when I was real little, we used to go on vacations with my grandma and grandpa, and my grandfather always got mad about something. Something would happen. And I know, like, I was like 5 or 6 years old, and he was like wrestling with me. We were in a beach house in Florida. And it was like, what can go wrong in a beach house in Florida? Who's mad at a beach house in Florida? It was beautiful. And we were wrestling, and a little bit of spit or something came out of my mouth and got on him because he was like holding me up, like that.
Yeah.
And my grandfather
Did he
threw
throw
me
you
across the room.
It's not
Oh
funny,
my
but
and,
it's
gosh, yes,
and
it is.
cussed and would not, like, he was like, I'm not talking to that kid the rest of this trip. Spit on me. And I'm like, I didn't spit. Like, I was laughing, and a little bit of something came out of my mouth. And him and my mom were at it the whole trip after that. Like, it was just, little, like, just every trip's got that one thing.
That
Like,
one thing.
I was
That
I
one
was
thing.
in one, vacation, and my sister-in-law walked in on me and my wife.
Yeah. We've been down that road.
And
So,
still claims
that
she
was
saw
another
nothing.
story
You've
time
heard
segment.
that story.
Yep.
But no, she saw.
She saw.
She saw.
She says she didn't, but
She
she
claims
I
she
saw her,
nothing.
and she saw us. So yeah, every trip's got that one thing. So tell me about your trip to Boston.
All right, this is it. This is all about Deborah.
fun.
No,
So much
goodness.
fun.
We should just. I wish I would have gotten a still picture of her face, and I could just show people.
You should get that one she put on Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
'cause
I
it's
wonder if she
fake.
face
This
apped
is-
that.
Oh, it was no.
She did something.
She
She
photoshopped it.
She took like a cutout of her face and put it on someone
Somebody
else's
else's.
head.
Yeah.
Because she's being tracked. Okay.
The
So
government.
we
Everyone's
we
out to get her.
obviously. Oh yeah, we're gonna get into it because Deborah, was our beautiful, lovely Airbnb host in Boston.
Beautiful.
We just got back from Boston. What, was it 2 weeks ago now or 1 week? Just 1 week.
I've lost
It's only
track
been
of
about a
time.
week. Nah, it'll be two by
Congrats, Neil.
Yeah,
Or
oh,
Mill.
Mill.
That's what they are, right?
Megan and
Congrats,
Neil.
Neil.
Oh, from Aaron. There you go, Neil.
Yeah.
That was for you.
Anyway.
They didn't hear you because they're in Switzerland right now.
Switzerland.
Well,
they might be in Austria.
Yeah, I
right
noticed
now.
they weren't watching.
Yeah, they
so much
normally
for
do.
being loyal watchers.
Yeah, I mean, there's other
Yeah, they usually
people.
watch.
There's other people in Austria that watch us. Why aren't
Yeah.
they?
Oh, jeez.
Good point.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Thanks, Sean.
He'll
for
go to
pointing that
listen
out, yeah.
later on and send us a message about how he was trying to listen, but we had no
Good
no
talking.
audio.
No. What he's gonna say is he'd be like, "Yeah, I was already asleep because they're 12 hours ahead." So
That's true.
It's
probably
like
3 a.m. over there.
So, but the thing is, so we obviously waited till. All right. Look, I'm throwing Jacob and Ty under the bus, and Jacob may still be watching. I know Ty's not watching.
Oh, what's
and I
up,
know
Ty? It's been a long time.
He's
Yeah.
not
Since
watching,
I've seen
Aaron.
Ty.
Yeah, it has
He
been.
might.
He probably
not
is.
watching.
One
He
day.
won't.
Okay.
He doesn't have a Facebook.
Hashtag.
Forget it.
But the thing is so we way back at the beginning of the year, we got our flights booked. We were trying to get ahead of the
Sorry,
game. Okay.
somebody just called and said, "Do you have air conditioning?"
No, we do not.
We do not.
No.
No, we
We're
do
still,
not.
Yeah, hold on. I could maybe point our camera
That's
up there.
that's Sean's dad.
No.
No AC.
There's no AC.
That's
I'll show him on
I'll
camera.
describe. There's a window unit 30 feet away
Just
in another room.
point your camera down there, Sean.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you can. Hold on.
Oh,
Point it,
don't knock your
No,
coffee
point it
cup
down.
over.
Point it down at the one in the corner, real quick.
What?
The one in the
The
corner
little
of the room.
box.
Oh, that thing?
That thing.
That thing ain't doing anything.
But there it is.
it's like peeking around here.
And now
that
point
doesn't
it.
work.
Now point it up there at the one in the corner. Yes, you can. Aaron, you can grab that. Here, grab that.
It
Yeah,
won't
oh,
turn.
won't. I'll grab it. Hold
won't
on.
turn.
All right, I'll grab mine. I think
Can
I
you
can.
just
describe
turn the
it.
camera?
There's a
instead of
window
that?
unit in
Oh,
the other
God,
room.
He's gonna knock me
They are
out.
determined.
There it
There's
They're
Here,
determined.
let me
there's
open
garbage
it.
bags
You
and
see
duct
that?
tape and a dryer vent, and it's running from a window unit into this room,
That's our wonderful
and it's
AC.
not working either.
Here
That's
at
how we
Red
make it
Moon
work.
Productions. This
Yeah.
is the
Hot.
so
we might need to wipe down your seat after this. I do apologize.
Aaron left a little something behind.
No, I'm just sweating.
Unfamiliar smell.
My legs are. Oh my god.
Swamp ass.
Wow.
we'll have to do another story time segment of like worst show ever.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is all right. So really long story short, we get to Boston. We land. We basically. Oh, I gotta go back. I gotta go back to freaking Jacob
Oh,
and
man.
Ty. The reason
It's
why.
all their fault.
It is their fault because we were trying to book this ahead of time. We texted them. We still weren't sure if they were going
Who
to
was
stay
rooming
with
with
us.
us? Because
So
they had
we
mentioned
wanted to
it.
make sure. Yeah, we wanted to see like if they were going to room with us.
And Jacob didn't know because he wasn't sure if
Well, he was-
Melissa could
yeah.
come yet or not. Because
They
if
were
so, they would have
still
gotten their
hadn't
own
got
place.
married yet, and their wedding was coming up. So we knew once they got married, maybe Melissa would come. She ended up not. So Jacob ended up texting us in May.
He
I
was
think.
like, "Hey, if we can get a place together if you haven't got it yet."
and it
we're
was
like,
actually him that we got together with to pick it out.
yeah, we went to Hopcat.
And we went to Hopcat, got a couple beers, and we were like, we're gonna figure this out.
We're gonna find.
That
we're gonna
sounds like
find a B&B.
Great place to plan.
That's right. And so we were sitting there. Not a lot of options
We were
left
poor.
open.
We were trying to find someplace cheap.
yeah,
This
that
place
was our biggest
Sounds
issue.
like me.
$89 a night.
And in Boston, that's cheap. That's really cheap.
We found out why it was so cheap
Yep.
when
Oh
we got
gosh.
there.
So
Wow.
we finally land. Deborah's willing to pick us up at the.
Deborah, your
Deborah.
hostess was gonna pick you
She
up.
picked us
She
up
was
from the
gonna pick us
airport.
up. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She did.
So she did. She picked us up at the
Luxurious.
airport
And
in her Toyota Prius.
in her
And-
yoga outfit that was low cut, and she's 60 some odd years old.
Oh yeah, she was trying hard. She was trying to just entice
And as
us.
soon
I
as you
don't
get in
know
the
why.
car, it smelled of incense and who knows what. It was weird.
It was an unfamiliar smell.
It was not a good smell. It was like she was doing voodoo before she came and picked us up.
Voodoo.
She's like, I gotta make sure nobody can track me.
Doing voodoo.
Who knows?
But no, that was the weird thing. So then she rattles our cage all the way to the freaking
She wouldn't
apartment.
shut up.
And she would not show. Which honestly, at first, having first met her, I was kind of like, okay, good. I don't want to have to make conversation. I'll let you. But she just drove us nuts already with her talking.
The first story she tells us upon picking us up
Yes.
is how she was an Uber driver for one day and got kicked off because
5. It was 5
Oh,
days.
was it 5 days?
She got a full week.
she got a full week before they kicked her off because she was in a wreck
Yes.
with the Uber customers in the back seat. But it wasn't her fault because someone was out to get her and they intentionally hit her.
And
They were trying to they were gunning for her.
So at this point, you're like, oh my gosh.
She's a crazy lady.
She's nuts. And so that's what we end up getting into the apartment. There's no air conditioning.
None.
It feels just like
90
this room
degrees.
right now.
feels like
It
your
does.
house.
It does.
It was worse than his house.
Yeah. And then there's her son, Rorik,
Rorik.
sitting there in his
Calling
wheelchair.
them out.
No, I'm calling him out. I don't
All
care.
of 'em.
You can know who these people are. Beware if you get on Airbnb.
prepared.
Beware.
To be fair, there are reviews on Airbnb that talk about the things we're complaining
We
about.
took our chances. We really
Yeah.
did. But the thing is we get in there. Rorik's sitting over there in his wheelchair. He's fine. He's handicapped. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
What was wrong with it?
I don't know what was wrong with him.
It's
but
okay if you're
let's just
handicapped. We
say-
won't judge you.
No, I'm not judging him, but I will
You
say
know, lifestyle's for everybody.
he was looking out the window, looking pretty grim. He did not turn around until
Looking
she
grim.
introduced.
Can't walk. Well, that's why he looks grim.
He did not greet us.
Oh my god.
He didn't greet us. We walk into the room. We lay our stuff down. We immediately come out. We're about to leave. She's like, "Hey, I'll drive you all wherever you want to go." And we're like, "Okay, yeah, that's great." She's like, "Well, what time will you all be back?" We're like,
We don't know.
"We don't know.
We're not making plans.
Yeah, we're not exactly sure."
We're not making plans.
So we
Yeah,
end up
at-
deciding to have her take us to one of the subway stops.
Yeah.
The T as they call it. She is trying to give us a key, and she's like, "Rorik, I'm gonna need your key." And he's like, "No,
I need my key.
I need my key. I got
And they
places
s-
to go."
And they start going at it. Like
They
just
start having a
fighting.
fight
He's like, "You're
in
not my
front of us."
mom. You owe me $1 billion."
Yes,
It was crazy.
He starts bickering back and forth, and they are, full on fighting in front of us.
Yeah.
And we're awkwardly trying to just laugh it off. There's a mother
And they do
son.
this every night.
Every single night they fought.
Yeah.
Every single night they fought. And back and forth cussing at each other. They even cussed at each
So
other.
were there reviews that's like Deborah and Rourke go at it?
Yes,
every
there
night?
was one
They're
review.
usually talking about they fight.
We should have known. We should have known.
She spends all night fighting with their son.
And it was very true. We got
Wow.
recordings. It's probably not legal, but
still
we
never heard 'em.
recorded.
We
Well,
got some.
we'll play them, but another podcast.
Oh.
But the thing is, so we end up thinking the AC is broken because that's what she tells us.
It's not broken.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, with so much. So we end up leaving for the day, and we're like, we're gonna try to stay out of this house as long as we can.
We only
We
went there
do
to
not want to
sleep.
be there.
Brad says this sounds like a good movie.
Oh, it was worse than a movie.
We should make a movie
I'm
called
trying to
Airbnb.
find the place. I'm trying to find the place
Or
right
well,
now.
we
On
probably
there?
can't call
Oh,
it Airbnb.
She probably got kicked out of
Copyright.
Airbnb too. No, anyway, so she's going to drive us to the subway station so that we can go wherever we want to go. We find out later on that the T stop, the subway station, there's one. The Beachmont stop is 5 minutes from the apartment complex we're staying at, like a 5-minute walk. It's just right there.
You don't remember the name
She-
of the road it was on?
No,
I don't.
no.
Okay, never mind.
So, anyways, she's driving us, and she actually goes by that one that's like 5 minutes from her house. She's like, "Oh, that one's closed. You can't use it. They have that shut down." Not true. Not true.
Nope. She just wanted to talk.
She takes
think
us.
she wants to get away
takes
from
us
her
2
son.
stops down. No, he wants to get away from her.
Yes.
I feel bad for him.
Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah.
but he's in a. What if it's like the woman who
Misery.
chopped up? Yeah.
Ooh. Anyway, she takes us 2 stops down to Wonderland. That's the name of the other stop. And she would not stop talking about.
Wonderland?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all she would
You can
talk
go to
about.
Wonderland.
She
Very
goes,
fitting.
"Oh, I can take you to the Wonderland stop. We'll go to Wonderland." She goes, "That's the stop. I know what you're talking about." No, there was one right there. We had to go to Wonderland. We never let her
Because
drive
she
us
was
anywhere
obsessed.
else
She
again.
was obsessed with Wonderland. She kept
Took
saying
us
it.
like way out of
Oh,
our way,
yeah.
out of our
Of
way,
course.
added an extra like 15 minutes
That's really
onto our
far,
trip.
Yeah.
But really, she just wanted to talk.
Yeah.
She wanted to
Just
have
wanted to talk.
somebody to talk to. Which at first we thought, oh, this
And
is.
Rourke
the-
just
I
wanted
don't-
to.
You're
He
annoying.
just wanted to run away.
Yeah, he wanted to get out of there. But we come back.
He wheel himself away.
It's not till freaking Ty gets into town like 2 days later that he's like, he walks in and we're like, boy, we text Jacob and Ty the first 2 days and we're like, y'all,
like,
y'all are in
it's-
for a treat.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's headed your all's way. So Ty finally flies in. He gets into town. He gets in the building. He's like,
Did Deborah pick him up?
no, we picked him up.
Oh, darn
And
it.
we told him, don't. Yeah, we'll pick.
Don't
you
let
up.
her drive you anywhere.
You should have let her.
Don't do it.
We thought about doing that to Jacob. Jacob doesn't know this till
Oh,
now.
sweet Jacob.
Jacob came in at like 12 in the morning, so it was real late, and we are like, oh, we should ask Deborah to go get him.
And we know she would. She would have done it. And it would have been funny to just have Jacob drive with her and be the only person in the car. Sorry,
Poor
Jacob.
Jacob.
We should have done it. We're saying poor Jacob. It didn't even happen.
But that's how bad it would have been.
It would have been bad. But so Ty
Jacob
gets
gets
in.
in? Oh.
No, Ty gets in.
Oh, okay.
First.
And Ty comes in. He's like, this is burning up in here. He's like, I can't take this. Well, we end up crashing for the first night. Ty wakes up a little bit earlier than us and like goes in the other room and turns on
He
the
turns
AC.
AC on. Yeah.
So we realized at that point it's not broken.
It's working.
It's working just
I
fine.
swear it had been randomly coming on. I think
What?
Rorik had been randomly turning it on in the middle of the night. Because
Sweet
around,
Rorik.
because like at 1 or 2, because at like 1 or 2 in the
Like,
morning.
I'm dying.
I said like around 1 or 2 in the morning every morning, like it would kick in for a
Yes.
couple hours. So I think he was turning it on, but like after she
I think
fell
he
asleep.
was.
And like she would turn it off when she got up and would be pissed because she'd be like, "It doesn't work." She goes, "You can't turn
Well,
the
and
AC
we found
on."
out too. She has a Nest thermostat, which you can.
I was
remote
like, a
log
nest
in.
of
Yeah.
what?
No, it's a
Just it
thermostat.
got more crazy.
You can download an app and control it from your phone.
Okay.
And that was what we thought she was doing. We thought she would get an alert saying it had been turned on, and then when she finally saw the alert, she'd turn it off. So it was only on for like a couple hours this one morning, and it finally shut off.
Yeah.
She wasn't there, so we were already like had taken our showers, we got dressed, we got out of there, and we were like, we're not coming back. Well, then come to find out, she messages me in the Airbnb app, and she's like, please don't turn on the air. I'm nauseous. I've got a headache. She's like, there's something's wrong with the air. I had somebody come by and try to look at it. They agreed that something wasn't right, but please don't turn on the air. I'm just feeling sick.
We got back home. She tried to say that she believed somebody was pumping carbon monoxide through the vents. She said, someone's out to get me. They hate Airbnb. Her thing was everybody hates Airbnb, so they're trying to shut.
This is creepy.
She said everybody hates Airbnb and wants them
She's
shut
the
down.
reason
so
Airbnb would get shut down.
You
though.
know, remember that movie, Everything?
no,
Yes, you reviewed it. I remember that.
Yeah, and
Yep.
the mom was like making up all that stuff.
that's her.
This
That's
is her.
Deborah.
But it sounds like a more creepy.
It is because
She
Person.
taped the vent in our bathroom
Yeah.
closed because she thought that was the air vent. And we kept saying, she's like, y'all don't even have a vent in your room. You can't turn it on because I taped it up. It's like, no, there's 2 vents, one in the bathroom and one right there. No, that's the intake. That's not. It's like, no, that's the air vent. What you taped up was the intake for the bathroom.
The return.
The return vent. She was crazy.
she was crazy. But here's the
Wow.
thing. So
Wow.
Ty ends up calling Airbnb like the morning after this all takes place, and is like,
shut her down.
yeah, we're gonna complain, maybe see if we can get
It's
another place
terrible.
to stay. We're willing to just get out of there as fast as we can. Well, Airbnb tells us that she didn't have AC under her amenities, so she didn't have to turn on the AC for us. So she didn't have to provide that. And then come to find out that
bread.
so we end up basically realize that Airbnb reaches out to Deborah
Yeah, they
to
call
try
her.
to fix
To
the
reconcile
complaints.
it, yeah.
Y'all
Yes.
was about to end up like Rorik.
See, you get it now.
He's
You
not
get
really
it.
her kid.
What
He's the
happened?
last
We were
person
ter-
that stayed there. That's the twist at the end of the
This
movie.
is crazy.
Yeah.
We were terrified because she confronted us about it.
What did she say?
She was just like, we can't turn the air on. I tried to have somebody look at it, but we can't because, we wake up and it's right above our heads and it makes us sick and there's carbon monoxide
we're
coming
at
through.
the rehearsal
Made my
dinner.
son crippled.
We're at the rehearsal dinner, and I get these messages blowing up my
Yeah.
phone on Airbnb.
Oh, this is the worst
And she's
part.
just like, she's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, here's the thing. We can turn on the AC, but you all can stay in our room. And then I'm like, our room?
Yeah.
So then we find out that they're sleeping in the same room.
Oh, they're in the
together.
same room. There was 2 beds in there. There's only
she
2
done
bedrooms.
kicked Rorik out of his room so she could Airbnb it up.
There's only 2 rooms in the whole apartment, and
Yeah.
both of them have 2 queen-size beds in them. So her and Rorik were sleeping in the 2 beds in the one room, and the
my
other 2 beds was where me.
goodness.
Ty,
How old is
Jacob-
Rorik?
You ready for this? 31 years old. 31 years old.
Poor Rorik.
I was gonna
poor.
say need to call on her and
Some-
get him some good
Oh no, he's old enough
parental
to.
place.
He just said he can't be because of his situation. He's like, I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. So
So he just
told you
argues
that?
with her. Yeah.
yeah,
We talked with them one night.
She
we felt
totally
bad. We
did.
feel bad
Basically,
for
breaks
Lori.
my
for
son
him.
burdens me.
Ty started up a conversation.
said her
We had a
son
long
No, I
burdens
said
her?
basically that's what she was saying. Like she can't do anything because of him. Like, it's all his fault.
Which is crazy because we know that she's probably just taken like his disability.
He's probably not even in a wheelchair. She probably told
I
him
don't
it
think-
has to be in one.
I don't think she has a job at all. I think
Yeah.
he gets a disability
He gets a
check,
check.
that she uses, and then the Airbnb.
And that's
She
why
doesn't
he's like,
work.
you owe
That's
me
their
all this
income.
money.
And that's why he tells her, that she owes him so much.
So
It's just
all
so
that, but the
crazy.
thing
My
is
heart is
we
breaking.
find out she's trying to get us to switch to their room, and she's like, "I'll move all your stuff before you
No.
get back." And I'm like, "No,
You're not touching our
don't
stuff."
touch
Yeah.
us." So I just politely, I'm like, "No worries, we'll deal with it. Don't touch our stuff."
It's like,
And I
yeah.
said thanks, and I didn't text her back at all after
Yeah,
that.
they were going to go in our room,
Airbnb
grab
is
all our stuff
messaging
and
me, and they're just like, "Is there any way we can reach out to her direct?" And I said, "I don't want you talking to her again. We've still got like 3 nights to stay there."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "You've already made it worse." So I'm like, "Don't say anything else. We'll just deal with it." So we were thinking we were out till like maybe 1:00 that morning with the rehearsal dinner.
Oh, yeah, it was
we
late.
get back. We're
And you
thinking
came home and all your stuff was in her
No,
room.
No,
they
we-
didn't touch it. She was still awake waiting on us.
Oh.
exactly. We
It
thought
was like
she was going to be in
between
bed.
1 and 2 o'clock in the morning.
And she waited up for us, and we walk in the door, and she's just like, "Do you all want to switch rooms?
No.
Do you want to? We won't move your stuff. We'll just you all can just sleep in here, and we'll sleep in there. We won't touch any of your things." We said, "No, we'll deal with it. Blah blah. Just leave us alone." Like so, we finally go in there. We stay one night. Now it's the day of the wedding. We get up, have a whole day of festivities. We go to the freaking wedding. We're of course gone all day long. We're coming back again. It's real late at night, and we're all sitting there on the train ride back, and we're all just like, "Y'all just want to pack up tonight and
We
just
just-
go to the airport?"
We packed up and stayed the night at the
Yeah.
airport.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That
It
was our
way
last
better.
night. We didn't stay there. We slept in the airport.
And the last part of our journey, we pack up. It's 2 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
We go and we get our Uber driver at the front of the apartment. We load up our stuff.
And she pulls
and her
up
little
right
Toyota
behind him.
Prius pulls up behind us with Rorik in the passenger seat. She's like, "Are you all leaving?"
We're like, yeah, and it's again 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
We're like, what
And
are
then
you
comes
doing?
Airbnb 2 dreams do not come
True.
true.
Yes, exactly.
It was a crazy week.
It was insane.
That is
I mean, it was
horrifying.
Boston was great. The Airbnb was
It
horrifying.
was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I'm so glad you guys are
It was
alive.
Yeah, we made it out alive.
I would have been by myself on the podcast like they're really dead. This
You
isn't
would-
a
you
joke
would've-
this time.
Yeah, you would have had to play the music and just take over.
I don't know
from
how to
there.
do any of it either.
Just hit record.
Just hit buttons.
Just
we
hit
would have
buttons.
just been here staring at each other because I don't know how to work any of that crap.
Nothing
Oh
would be
yeah,
on
you
there.
were there.
I made it back safe. I was
He was
smart.
at a different Airbnb.
Yeah, we stayed at a place that was
Much better.
much better.
That we could have rented out the basement
They
for.
could have had the
but we
basement
didn't.
apartment and been at the same place that we were at.
Shoo.
we
but
were.
But we were
They were pinching
fools.
dollars, and
We
And
got
we-
what we paid for.
you got what
Yep.
you paid for.
Yep. So that is
No,
our
I don't even
worst
think you
vacation
got what
experience
you
ever.
paid for.
Probably not.
You're in the negative.
Yes.
We're waiting for Airbnb to pay us back.
Yeah.
All we
Jeez.
got was this
Can
terrible
we send
story.
this to Airbnb?
Oh, I'm
Let's
writing
tag 'em.
a world class
At
review.
gonna try to get their money back.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a refund.
But that was our week in Boston, and this has been a crazy show.
That was
This-
a long story, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I hope our listeners did. I hope our
Yeah.
I
viewers
don't know.
enjoyed
they,
that.
They might have tuned out after a while. But like, all right,
It
Hour-
does
hour
need to be
nowhere.
a
2
movie.
minutes.
I know. Oh man, then we
Yeah.
need to wrap it up, guys. We're wrapping it up right now. Thank you all for joining us this week. I hope you all did enjoy it.
Stay away
Yeah.
from Wonderland.
Yeah.
Brad said that's what the name of the movie should be. Wonderland.
Wonderland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not to be confused with Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
It's a different.
I kept saying Deborah was chasing that white rabbit.
Oh
Yeah,
Lord.
she was.
Just
Just
chasing
call it
something.
Deborah.
Through the looking glass. I'm telling you, that's what it was. That was terrible. That fell flat.
Okay.
All right, well that was a good show.
Going,
Yes.
And if anybody wants to share any bad vacation stories, how could they do that, Brandon?
They could do it by
Oh,
Keith.
make Aaron do it. Make
No,
her
no,
do it.
no, I don't
make
wanna
her
do
do
it.
it.
Aaron, you got to do it. Go right now.
Camera's on you.
Red Moon.
No,
I-
No,
no,
fail,
no,
fail.
Oh,
fail.
my gosh.
You can email the RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com
I'm
right
sorry.
there in the bottom
Was
of
it
your
right,
screen.
right,
What?
right there?
What?
Right,
Right,
RM
wait.
podcast at
Yes, right
redmoonproductions.com.
there.
Remember, I'm not
Okay.
even good at that.
You can't say it?
It's okay.
No, I can't find it. Remember?
She can't see herself.
It's
Yeah,
there
she
you
don't have
go.
a screen.
You
Yeah.
can That you're on there. You're close.
Yes.
There it is.
Close.
There you
you
go.
Right
Yeah,
there.
button.
Oh, you're
Right.
touching
Oh,
it.
don't fondle
Ooh.
it. Stop that.
No.
Just email us.
RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com. As always, thank you all out there for joining us. So until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
and of course, saying goodbye to our very special guest this week.
Aaron Boyd.
See y'all next time.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.